Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to our artistic modernism of the time period of the late 19th, early 20th century. Ooh, good, it's working. All right, and so here, what type of art are we seeing with this one? What type of art? So far we've seen Impressionism, we've seen Realism before that. What are we moving into? Where they're overemphasizing striking colors.
Abstractism.
Not abstraction yet, that's line
Cubism.
Cubism, this isn't Cubist. Expressionism's even more out there. It's Post-Impressionism. Yeah, there we go. Wow, that's kind of underwhelming, I know. So, Post-Impressionism is taking the lovely things that were happening under Impressionism and just adding to it with even more color, bombastic colors. And so here we get Paul Cézanne. He's kind of the Post-Impressionist of the era. Well, at least until we start getting into Gauguin and Van Gogh. But Cézanne, unlike many of his fellow painters of the time period, he was actually filthy rich. All right? And so the reason that he's able to do his painting is because people are really into this kind of contemporary style at this point. They've seen the works of Monet. Now they're kind of really getting into it, and they're saying, hey, enough with the realism stuff. That's boring. And so he's selling some paintings as a result. Another one, though, too, that's cool about it is he's going to end up being one of the he's going to end up selling one of the most expensive paintings in history. All right, now he'll be dead by the time it'll sell for $250 million, but we'll see here in a minute how lovely that painting is. So here we see another one with him. This one is Plaster Cupid, and it's a still life. So we see a lot with Post-Impressionism, see a lot of still lifes. Now why is a still life interesting? Is it interesting? What do you think? As you take a look at these still lifes, what do you think about them? Think they're boring? Yeah, honestly, I kind of think still lifes are boring too. But why are people wanting them?
They're pretty.
They're pretty because what's emphasized in Post-Impressionism?
Art. Colors.
Art, yes. All right, so the colors. All right, so they're taking the color palette to new extremes. And remember, what do they call that where they're not actually mixing it on the palette, but mixing it on the canvas itself? Optical mixing. Very good. So the optical mixing. Oh, that was so special. See how special that was? All right, so the optical mixing is finding ways to make it more vibrant colors. Now, another cool thing about this one is you notice that if you look at the background, see how unlevel this is, right? It's not meant to be your typical background because what's it look like? What does it look like is happening here?
It's like a slanted table.
Yeah, it's like a slanted table. It's like things are falling at us, and this is suddenly stopped right here as Mannequin Piss is still, about to fall over. Did I ever tell you guys about Mannequin Piss? No? All right, I'm good. I'm glad I remembered that. So, Mannequin Piss is a fantastic sculpture. Anytime I see this still life with Plaster Cupid, I always think of Mannequin Piss. So, I went to Belgium, and I was in Brussels, and hanging out in Brussels one night, walking through the streets, and here is this giant, beautiful fountain, and there is this tiny little baby statue holding himself and urinating into the fountain, all right? It's called Mannequin Piss. I had a little keychain of it at one point that I lost over the years, but oh, it was cool. If you guys want to Google it really quick, it's fantastic. Mannequin Piss just standing there, peeing in the fountain. It's one of the highlights of Brussels. A kid peeing in a fountain. The highlight of Brussels. But Brussels is cool for other reasons too. You should check it out sometime. Anyway, so Paul Cézanne giving us a pseudo Mannequin Piss. All right, now the most expensive sold. You see it? Yeah? Isn't that good? I'm telling you, you gotta go. And then you can go bungee jumping at the Six Flags that was there. That was really fun too. No, it's great. And he just pisses for centuries of pee. How fun is that? Okay. All right. So anyway, this painting, The Card Players by Cézanne, is going to end up being sold in 2011 for $250 million. All right. It's seen as his best production. It's also seen just as his best color scheme and the way that he's representing these figures. Now, another cool thing about Paul Cézanne is that he was a painter till the death, all right? What he did is he was painting a scene, not this one, but painting a scene in a field one day, trying to capture all the perfect light and all of the perfect colors, and then a storm moved in. He was like, I don't care, I'm just going to keep painting. So he keeps painting, and then it starts raining like crazy on him, and it gets very, very cold and windy. So after an hour of sitting in the rain, continuing to paint, he said, well, I guess I'll go now. And he gets up and he walks, and as he's walking, he passes out. And so someone comes and finds him and brings him into a home and tries to warm him up a little bit. And he's like, no, I got to finish my painting. And he keeps trying to paint. And then he passes out while at the easel and then dies. All right, so this is a guy going all the way to the end, being a painter. Now, the only painting to beat that last one, remember that last one, how much did it sell for? 250 million. The only one to outsell that was, I believe, in 2013. This one is by Paul Gauguin, not Cezanne. Gauguin. All right, so keep them straight. So 2015, there you go. So in 2015, did you see how much it sold for? 300,000. All right. So wasn't that special? Did I say 1,000? Sorry.
Wait, but there's another one too, though.
What do they got now?
Interchange by William de Kooning.
When did that sell?
September of 2015. That's also for 300 million.
So tied.
And do you know who bought the last one? And probably this one?
Who?
The state of Qatar.
Really?
Is that not weird?
Qatar? That's where no.
That's where
Zdanky. That's where Zdanky went.
Zdanky bought it.
Yeah.
Oh my
It
God.
must be Zdanky. oh.
Isn't that where the next World Cup is?
I don't know.
I think
But
so.
Qatar sounds like about the Zdankest place to be. With all the paintings and the World Cupping and Sean. I mean, it sounds great. All right, anyway. So here's Paul Gauguin giving us Will You Marry Me in 1892. So Gauguin is intriguing, I think, because he actually kind of hated European society. We're going to hear more about him and what a jerk face he was to Van Gogh. They were quote-unquote friends, all right? But this guy totally hated European society after a while. He also did a lot of absinthe. A lot of absinthe. Now, I think I told you a little bit about absinthe already, but what's in it that is not good for your brain? Wormwood. All right, it's a little bit of poison that attacks your brain cells and makes you wig out and see the green fairy. All right, don't drink it. But Gauguin certainly had a lot of it. All right, and so here he decides, I'm going to leave Europe now. I'm going to go on a little quest. And he went to the Caribbean. Traveled around places like Cuba. He's hanging out there, and he was inspired by the culture. You can kind of see the mixing of culture here with this Latin culture over here, and then the Christian symbols over here. And so he's giving us his self-portrait with that one. And so after this, though, he's going to decide he doesn't want to even hang out in Latin America because there's too much American influence and European colonial influence. So anyone know where he's going to go next?
China.
All right, so he's going to go to Indonesia. It was also in French Polynesia is where he's going to spend a lot of time too. So he's going to tour around and give us wonderful works like this one, Tapahau. I think that's how you say that one. He gives us a beautiful quote too. He says, having lost all of their savagery, having run out of instinct, and you might say imagination, artists have wandered down all sorts of paths, looking for the productive elements that they themselves do not have the strength to create. What's that mean? They've lost their savagery. They've lost their imagination. So artists are wandering down these paths looking for something. And are they finding it? Hanging out in Europe drinking absinthe? No. According to him, no, I disagree, because look at Van Gogh. We're about to see how that's not going to be true for him. All right, but he says, where do we got to go? What do we got to do to get in touch?
Go find
Gotta
crazy
spread out,
cultures.
man, and find crazy things to paint, man, like naked women with weird rapist-looking dudes hanging out there. Or is that a woman? I don't know, but it's creepy. All right, either way. So here we get a little Van Gogh, or if you want to be snooty, Van Gogh. All right, so the Dutch are real emphatic about you calling him Van Gogh, because that's how they pronounce it. There's a beautiful museum that he's got in Amsterdam. Very hot, definitely a hot spot to go if you're in Amsterdam. So this one, you've all seen it before, his self-portrait. So tell me about it.
He's a ginger.
Okay, he's a ginger. He's got orange hair and beard, yes. All right, so tell me about the lines and the composition here. All right, you notice how crazy the lines are all around him? Compare that to his face. How's his face look? Okay, much more stiff, much more detailed, much more structured. Okay, so tell me about Van Gogh or Van Gogh's mental status. What do you know about it?
Little off.
Okay, super depressed, little off. He only sold one painting during his life. He's kind of an intriguing dude, too, because he wanted to start this utopia in which all these painters would be hanging out together, making beautiful art, and then selling it to the world or just getting taken care of by the world. But he couldn't sell a dang thing, except for one. All right, so he was always constantly hanging out like this weird little obsessed puppy with Gauguin. He loved the man, all right? I mean, weird bromance that was existing there. Gauguin would drink with him, but then he was always trying to put him off, like, get away from me, man, you're weird. And so they even shared a prostitute at one point that Van Gogh probably fell in love with, but Gauguin was just trying to show dominance over his friend by having this prostitute as well. And so at one point, what is Van Gogh going to do to prove his love to this prostitute? Cut off his left ear. He'll put it in some fancy wrapping paper. He'll deliver it to her as if to say, this is what I'll do for you. And then, as if also to say to Gauguin, I'm crazy, man. Don't mess with me. I'm nuts. All right, we can kind of see that happening here. If you take a look at his face, it's, a kind of a structured composition, but all around him, things are getting crazy. Things are all windy and wavy. Even within, as we approach into his body, we see those lines mixing all over the place. What's it maybe meant to symbolize?
The only thing in life you can trust is yourself. That's steady.
I was going to say his insanity.
Yeah, I was going to say his insanity too. I like that interpretation. Give a little more street cred to the man. That's good. All right, so Van Gogh, he is going to be an intriguing figure, and if only he could have known how much people would love him, right? If only he could have known how much he'd be appreciated. I like this clip. Thanks to Luke for showing me this clip from Doctor Who. We'll get to see a little perspective on if only Van Gogh had known.
Where are we? Paris. 2010 AD, and this is the mighty Musée d'Orsay, home to many of the greatest paintings in history.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Ignore that, I've got something more important to show you.
Take all your chances while you can. Never know when they'll pass you by. Like a song the mathematician cannot solve. Like me, trying my hardest to explain. It's all about your crossing kisses. Those first steps that I can't calculate.
Black. We met a few days ago. I asked you about the church and the verse.
Oh, yes. Glad to be of help. You were nice about my tie.
Yes. And today is another cracker, if I may say so. But I just wondered, between you and me, in 100 words, where do you think Van Gogh rates in the history of art?
Well, big question. But to me, Van Gogh is the finest painter of them all. Certainly the most popular, great painter of all time. The most beloved. His command of colour, the most magnificent. He transformed the pain of his tormented life into ecstatic beauty. Pain is easy to portray, but to use your passion and pain to portray the ecstasy and joy and magnificence of our world, no one had ever done it before. Perhaps no one ever will again. To my mind, that strange, wild man who roamed the fields of Provence was not only the world's greatest artist, but also one of the greatest men who ever lived.
Vincent, sorry. I'm sorry, is it too much?
No. I have tears of joy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Sorry, but beard.
It's all about your crying kisses.
All right, I don't know if you guys have ever felt underappreciated or unawesome or unbrilliant at any time in your lives, but take a lesson from Van Gogh. I mean, how much things could have been different if he had just known how appreciated he would be. All right, so Van Gogh is going to give us some beautiful scenes. I love this one too because, again, I don't know why I'm on Belgium today, but this really reminds me of a personal scene when I was in Brussels, hanging out, walking through the streets, just kind of seeing the liveliness of the town after dark. And so this one, I think he does a brilliant job with taking the natural and unnatural light that's happening here and bringing it to life for us in this beautiful street cafe. All right, and so if you take a look at the cobblestone streets, first of all, what's he doing with that to make it come to life for us? I mean, it's not like someone poured orange juice on it, right? Come on, what's going on here?
The light reflecting.
All right, it's the light reflecting. Is that because the stones are naturally reflective?
No.
What must have happened recently?
It rained.
Must have rained recently. And so we get the unnatural light here from the cafe itself, illuminating the street, illuminating the figures as well. But then we get the natural light from the stars coming down to illuminate the scene as well. It's absolutely beautiful, breathtaking, if you ask me. I love it. All right, and then of course you all know this one. What's it called? Starry Night. All right, so the Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh has a fun backstory to it too, because at this point in his life, it's already been in an institution once. Okay, his family already committed him to an institution because of the whole ear thing, the ear scene. And so now, though, many people start to wonder if at this point he's starting to lose his grip on reality, because he kind of impulsively sucked on the tips of his brushes and he used lead-based paint. All right, so he's getting lead poisoning progressively throughout his career as an artist, and as if that's not enough, he's also really hard into the absinthe scene. So, I mean, this is a guy that's, probably tripping most of the time. And then here he gives us this beautiful scene. And so he's kind of losing his grip on reality. And not long after painting this, he's actually going to try and shoot himself in the chest with a single-shot pistol in order to kill himself. He will not be successful. So he'll wake up from that, he'll be bleeding out of his chest, and he'll walk to a hospital, and he'll say, hey, I need to be seen, I've been shot in the chest. And so they say, well, we don't have a surgeon available at the moment. Sit down, and we'll get someone for you. So he sits down, he starts smoking on his pipe, and then he just bleeds to death and dies there. All right, so Vincent van Gogh, the struggling artist. Oh, man. All right, but here we get a little of a different play on Post-Impressionism. So now we're moving out of Post-Impressionism, and if you read your Steves and Openshaw art packet, yeah, some of you could. All right, what time period are we moving into here? What style? Expressionism. There you go. So now we're getting into Expressionism. And so this man, myth and legend, is whom again? Edvard Munch. All right, so Edvard Munch in, I think it was from Oslo, Norway, or somewhere like that. So he's going to give us the screen in 1893. And so he gives us a fantastic emblem of the anguishes of modernity, is how many people look at it today. What the heck does that mean? A fantastic emblem of the anguish of modernity. What does that mean? What's modernity? It's a fun word I like to use from time to time. Modernism. All right, so we've got modern times happening, coming into the 20th century. Many people are feeling disassociated from the old ways. All right, they're kind of looking with nostalgia to a pre-industrial Europe, because industrial Europe, it's kind of weird. It oppresses the individual in some ways. We've got imperialism, which is leading to conflict around the globe. So guys like Munch are kind of like, whoa, man, it's just kind of getting crazy out there. He gives us a quote that has nothing to do with imperialism, even though this will often be seen as like I said, an emblem for the problems of the modern era. But here he gives us a quote in which he says, hold on, let me find it. Oh, one evening I was walking along a path. The city was on one side and the fjord below. I felt tired and ill. I stopped and looked out over the fjord. The sun was setting and the clouds turning blood red. I sensed a scream passing through nature. It seemed to me that I heard the scream. I painted this picture, painted the clouds as actual blood. The color shrieked. This became the scream. Ooh. All right, so what's the point of making these vibrant, wistful colors? What's the point?
The passing of
the passing of nature. There's a scream emanating through nature. All right, so this guy's freaking out about it. I love these two people, these faceless individuals who appear to be walking towards us. If you look at the way the feet and the legs are positioned, walking towards us, but there's no face on them. Any of you guys have those weird dreams? Anyone have those trippy dreams where you're like in this world that's just totally messed up, and then you see these figures that you're like, I know that person, I know who that is, but that does not look like them. They're freaking me out right now. Anybody? I just had a weird dream last night. Maybe that's why I'm ruminating on it. All right, so here we've got a video. That's
The 20th century saw the birth of modern art and featured a number of notable styles and artists who indelibly influenced history. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be learning more about some of the most influential artists of the 20th century. Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso is considered by many to be the greatest artist of the 20th century, and in fact, one of the greatest of all time. The Spanish artist is world famous for helping found the Cubist art movement. This style was able to inject various different perspectives into one two-dimensional painting. His work can be separated into several notable periods, including the Blue and Rose periods. Les Demoiselles d'Avignon and Guernica are two of his most famous paintings, and they demonstrate the breadth and scope of his influence on modern art. Salvador Dali. A versatile artist, Dali worked with a variety of media in his career. He was influenced from a number of artistic movements that came before him, including Cubism and even the Italian Renaissance. His work is easily described as bizarre and absurd, though its creativity is unparalleled. The Spanish artist used Freudian dream imagery in his work and described it as hand-painted dream photographs. His best-known work is The Persistence of Memory, and this painting is often referenced in pop culture. Dali also collaborated with Walt Disney during his career. The resulting animated short took over a half-century to be completed, and it was called Destino. Combining Dali's surreal artwork with Disney's characters, the film was nominated for the 2003 Academy Award for Best Animated Short. Jackson Pollock. Jackson Pollock is considered one of America's most important 20th century artists. A leader in the abstract expressionist movement, his paintings are huge in scale and instantly recognizable. Pollock did not only use paintbrushes to create his art, but also more unusual tools like trowels and knives. The drip technique that he developed evolved into what is now called action painting. This method is more spontaneous than traditional painting with a brush on canvas. He helped cultivate the idea of the painting as an object in itself, as opposed to the notion of a painting needing to represent another object. While he is famous more for his style than any one particular painting, his oeuvre, called Number 5, 1948, fetched $140 million when it was sold in 2006. Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol is as famous for his persona as he is for his art.
Aka. Midori. Uh-oh.
Starting out as a commercial artist, Warhol used the techniques he learned there to perfect his pop art. Manipulating iconic American symbols became a signature. His Campbell's soup cans, Coca-Cola bottles, as well as representations of celebrities like Marilyn Monroe and Elvis are noteworthy. He often used a silk screening technique to create his fine arts in his New York workshop called The Factory. Because of his chosen system, he was easily able to delegate his work to other people, which he often did. This destroyed the importance of the artist and placed the artwork firmly in the spotlight. Though he was commended by many, Warhol was also heavily criticized in his time for over-accepting consumerism. His works were bold, colorful, and prompted the question, what is art?
Do you ever bother to read all these great interpretations about your work?
Can I just answer?
Yes, you can.
All right, so you heard that modern art is getting a little bit out there. It's becoming what we call visual music, right? Okay, so why? Why is that art? Why is Warhol, for instance, Cassidy, why is Warhol art?
Because he pioneered a new vision of art.
Yeah, all right. I like that idea of the using the factory, where he's got all kinds of different artists working together to make this thing. Because is it so much that we're buying a Warhol, or is it that we're getting something that's new and different? What's it becoming at this point?
New and different.
New and different. That's the emphasis. New and different. All right. So many people. What was that?
He ripped off Van Gogh.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so many people are starting to criticize art, both in the 20th century and now, as being this weird thing where you can get a 5-year-old to go in and draw a triangle on a giant white canvas, and that's art. Okay. So I agree with that to some extent, but at the same time, I think it was Steve Openshaw that made a pretty cool comment saying that these are artists that can make classic art, often can make that same kind of classic art that the Renaissance figures did, but they don't want to. They don't need to. It's like taking, like for instance with Cubism, taking a vase, throwing it on the ground, and putting it back together on canvas. That's new art, okay? And so, as we take a look at some of this art, we get into some weird dudes like the Fauves, as they were called. What would the Fauves stand for?
The feral or ferocious or something.
The ferocious? Yes, so the wild beasts is what that meant. And so the wild beasts, or Fauves, is a French movement led by Henri Matisse. We'll see more from him later. But here we can see an intriguing scene called The Happiness of Life. And according to Matisse, in this Bacchanalian, debaucherous portrayal, what is the happiness of life? Women and relations with women, not one in particular, but as you can see, there's a whole group of them. All right, we're getting kind of weird. All right, now this is not the first time, though, by the way, that we've seen this kind of scene in art. We saw this as early as the 1600s. In various Bacchanalian pictures as well, but this one definitely emphasizing it in a new way. And now here we get into the blue period of which painter? Picasso. All right, so Pablo Picasso is going to run away from home at age 16 because Daddy was not mad that he was an artist. He was just mad that he wasn't a traditional artist. So they fought because Picasso was like, I want to be all contemporary. And his dad was like, no, you need to be a classical painter. He's like, I hate you. He's like, I hate you too. And then he runs away. And so he runs off, I think it was to Barcelona. He's hanging out in the city, and he's dirt poor. So he's living with this other dude. This other dude works at night, and then Picasso paints during the day. And so they didn't have enough money for separate bedrooms or a separate bed. So Picasso would sleep in the bed at night, and then he'd work during the day. His friend who worked all night would then sleep in the bed during the day while Picasso painted. And they actually had to burn his paintings to stay warm. All right, think of the millions of dollars that went literally up in smoke there as he is burning his paintings. But he was not yet famous, and so why all the blue tincture to these paintings?
Represents his point in life.
Yeah, he's totally down, dude. This sucks being an artist at this time. All right, and so actually he's going to end up in Paris as well at this point, too, doing some painting, and it's sucky there as well. And so he's going to give us some beautiful paintings here. Like, this is one of my personal favorites of all time because, you know, I like guitar, and I can see myself as some crusty old man someday sitting, you know, impoverished on my floor, since they don't give me retirement here, playing my guitar. That's all I need, man. That's all I need. Crusty old man. All right, so old guitarist, beautiful blue period painting. Now he's going to exit out of his blue period. Anyone know why? He'll enter into what he calls his rose period.
He got happy.
He got happy. Why did he get happy? He started hanging out with some ladies. He fell in love with a waitress, and he all of a sudden, his paintings changed. But he did not remain faithful to that waitress. This man slept with probably hundreds upon hundreds of women. All right, I don't want to be hyperbolic and say thousands, but yeah. Okay. So there were 7 women that were really important to him during his life. 2 of which commit suicide because he refused to marry them. All right. One of these women was a 20-year-old model, and he was 52 at the time. He was world famous. He was filthy rich at this point. And so there was this 20-year-old model that he insisted that he paint in the nude. And, well, he also was in the nude, by the way. He liked to paint in the nude frequently. And he insisted that she, too, be in the nude while he painted her. And so, sparks flew. And so at that point, he's later going to have another woman who's 17, a 17-year-old art student, and he was 70. All right, this student came to write him an article about him for her school newspaper, and he was like, hey, I'm 70 and world famous. All right, so you can just see from these pictures here what a weird kind of dude he is. Okay, he thinks he's pretty awesome. Okay, so but he does make some incredible art. So the 20-year-old model that I was telling about, this is her right here. The 17-year-old girl who was writing the paper, who was like, wait, let me draw you. Let me draw you right now. And then, busted it out, and there she is. Okay, today, I think she's still alive today, and she's all excited about her history with Picasso. I'm pretty proud of it. Why wouldn't you be, I guess? Okay, so here we've got Picasso giving us a new spin on what? Anyone know what this is? All right, this is Cubism. Yes, this is the style, but what is the subject?
Building.
Yes, you're right. All right, be confident. It's a guitarist. Yeah, do you see it? Okay, so take a look at it here. Here is the body of the guitar, right? Here is one arm that is playing it. Okay, here's the head, and it's going back and forth because he's rocking out. Okay, and then you can also see one of his arms looks like it's moving a little bit too because he's rocking out. So there is a guitarist, a new spin on that one using Cubism. Another emphasis of guitar. Maybe we're noticing a trend here. He likes him. I like him. I like him. Yes, fantastic. All right, and then here we've got what? What are these dudes?
The band.
They're a band. So this is kind of like the Cantina Band in Star Wars, if you will, right? So here they are hanging out, playing what? What's that one?
That's the
oboe?
clarinet.
Clarinet, thank you. All right, so there's the clarinet. And then guitar. What's this guy doing?
Looking at the music.
He's the singer and looking at the music. You can see his mouth is open to sing, and there's another one who's singing backup vocals there, right? So very cool. All right, next one. This one is a famous painting for a number of different reasons. First of all, it's called Les Demoiselles, all right? And so what Picasso did is he's hanging out in France at this point, and he's got himself a French girlfriend that he doesn't like anymore because they broke up. All right, so the painting originally, well, first of all, let me just tell you this part. So this is a painting about prostitutes, okay? So these are 5 prostitutes hanging out at a brothel. One of them, I believe this one right here, is his ex-girlfriend, okay? So originally when he made this, he made it without the masks on these women, but then he was like, all right, we broke up. I hate you now. I'm putting on these African masks on you. Now, part of the reason that he added the African masks too, not just being pissed at his former girlfriend, but also because this is the age of imperialism. People are traveling from France to go to Africa. They're all interested in buying African goods at this point. So why add the African masks onto these women in his painting?
It's a modern interest.
Modern interest, and he knows he's going to sell it that way. All right, so that's one of the reasons he's filthy, stinking rich. All right, now we're getting into some fun stuff, which also makes for some fun socks. Huh? See my socks? See how awesome they are? Gustav Klimt on my ankles today. All right, so here is Gustav Klimt giving us the kiss. All right, can you see this beautiful embrace? Ladies, are you swooning like her? No? All right, gentlemen. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a nice kiss. All right, so notice, too, in this lovely painting, the differences between men and women. Are you picking up on it? What are men like?
The woman's more defined.
All right, so the woman's more defined, looking luscious. All right, and then also, what's surrounding her? All right, little flowers and bubbles and colors and all these little expression things. And what's the dude look like? A block. All right, it's black and white. It's block. Okay. I think that says a lot about the human personality, especially after you've been married for a while. You can see, women are bubbly. They're kind of all over the place. They've got all these great ideas, thoughts, and then men are just like, All right, so I don't know if you've heard this one before. The whole men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I also heard a book titled Men Are Like Waffles, Women Are Like Spaghetti. Spaghetti's all over. It's messy, it's tangled. Men are just like, fill up that hole. There you go. There's a waffle. What? With syrup. With syrup. With syrup. And butter. All right. You eat your waffles. Okay. So here's another one from Gustav. Here's Gustav Klimt again, giving us a portrait of Adele BlochBauer. And so she was a lovely lady that wanted a portrait, but not in the traditional style. That's boring. We don't want a Renaissance selfie. Instead, this. All right, now notice how he's using the geometric shapes here too. What's this representing for her?
Body.
That's her body, and then the inner part of her dress, and then this must be either the emotion flowing out of her, or this is maybe representing the dress surrounding her, but the main part of the dress and the jewelry you can see in those shapes. Now take a look at her face here. We're going to see that face again in a second. So in this next painting, yeah? Okay, so in this next painting by Gustav Klimt, not this one, all right, in the next painting we're about to see, he calls it Judith slaying Holofernes, or cutting off the head of Holofernes. Now, this is something that's referenced throughout art history. We talked about this one earlier when we were talking about Gentileschi, Artemisia Gentileschi, who was a 17-year-old girl who was an artist in the Baroque period, but she was also raped when she was 17. And so in order to kind of express her anger and angst from that whole scenario, how is she treating Holofernes here? Not kindly. All right, so you can see blood is spraying everywhere. All right, so it's all over the place. Having a good time cutting off that dude's head, and he is powerless against this severing. All right, very different here from Gustav Klimt giving us Judith in the head of Holofernes. She looks exultant, you know, like, hey, I did my thing. She's also naked for some reason, and then we barely even see the head. Like there's barely any emphasis on the head, because what's the emphasis upon? Not the slaying and the blood spraying everywhere, but what?
Her glory.
Her glory. Her feminine glory and beauty. And doesn't that face look very similar? I honestly, I think that's an awkward face here. I don't know why that's so exciting for her or him. I mean, she's got that awkward look of, I'm just waking up or something. But anyway, are we recognizing the face? Who's it also the face of? Adele BlochBauer. All right, there you go. Okay, now we're going to see some modernist, some cotillion modernism in architecture. So who is the man, myth, and legend giving us places like this Barcelona cathedral? Antonio Goudy. All right, Goudy.
Are you sure it just finished last year?
Yeah.
That's why I felt like this cathedral, right? Like,
Exactly, yeah. So he's taking a spin on which old architectural form? Gothic. Who said it? Yeah. All right, very good. So he's taking a spin on Gothic cathedrals and adding a new flair to it, as if to make it look like almost like it's melting ice cream. That's the best way I can think of to describe it. So how many of you have been to Barcelona and seen this? Anybody? Me neither. Got to go there someday. All right, if you take a look inside, first of all, I want to show you this too. So remember on the entrance into Notre Dame, it's built in that Gothic and somewhat Romanesque style. So as we're entering into Notre Dame, what's above the doorways? Remember, there's three doorways. What?
The flying buttresses.
We've got flying buttresses pulling the weight out, so we can have an expanded nave, or not nave. I don't know, that's what it's called. Yeah, middle part. Right? Yeah, there's relief sculptures. All right, very good. So there's relief sculptures as you walk through the doors of different saints. What do you notice here with Gaudy's cathedral?
There's a crucifix up top.
Yeah, there's relief sculptures as well. Now, it's not zoomed in on this stuff, but they're all like extended. They're all kind of morphodytic. They don't quite fit the typical human form. Then you go inside, and it's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful with all of these different geometric shapes that he's trying to use here. And again, what's it kind of look like?
Gothic.
Oh yeah, we got the Gothic style. So here is the rounded buttress, right? And then, but what does he do though with it?
Brings in light.
Brings in light. And why all the shiny looking stuff all around it? What's maybe that meant to represent? Well, God's light, salvation coming through. All right, now this one's probably his most famous one. This is an apartment complex that they've nicknamed the Melting Ice Cream Apartment because you take a look at it, it's beautifully lit, but as you take a look at the outside, everything appears to be melting and draped in color. Isn't it pretty? Wouldn't you love to live there? Cough up the millions, though. It'll cost you millions to get there. All right, that's all on Goudy and 20th century art.
So is this video